Welcome to the latest episode of the More People podcast. I'm your host, Richard Hanwell, Managing Director for More People. I'm thrilled this time around to be joined by Ryan Bainborough. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah, thrilled to be here.
Ryan, if you be so kind as just to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I look after the rural and agriculture team here at More People.
Fantastic. And Ryan, I'm intrigued as to kind of where the interest in agriculture came from, where it stemmed from, and how you kind of found a way into that world.
So I grew up not on a family farm like some people, but I grew up on my childminder was a farmer, Arabland dairy farmer. So kind of grew up after school working on the farm, milking cows.
At what age were you doing that?
4, I think.
4.
Yeah, for about 4. So yeah, I just would literally just muck in, go and help out after school every day. Yeah, couldn't wait to get home from school and do that. And then in the holidays was just sat on a combine harvester through the summers. And yeah.
Best childcare ever.
Yeah, it was. I had a great childhood. It was brilliant.
Super. So really in and around the world of agriculture from such a young age enabled you to understand it, kind of be intrigued by it? Where did that kind of roll into?
I just loved the industry. I grew up in Leicestershire, so you're surrounded by fields and farms. But I loved all the machinery. I loved the animals, and yeah, just loved kind of just mucking in and getting on with it. And I think it taught me a lot as well because farmers work incredibly hard, work all hours of the day. It was hard work, but it never seemed like hard work because we just
you enjoyed it. I think that's great as well because so many people will drive through Lincolnshire, Leicestershire, various other counties, see all this sort of stuff happening, but oblivious to it almost, to the fact that you've managed to get involved at such a young age to understand almost where our food comes from. And it's not actually from the retailers, the supermarkets. There's a whole supply chain behind that. Modern day now, current day, you're into the world of recruitment. How did that happen, I guess?
Yeah, so, I mean, I always wanted to be a farmer. Many people told me not to go down that route for various different reasons, I think. And I actually went down a sporting route through sort of school. It seemed like the natural thing to kind of go into sports coaching. I did that for 6 months coming out of university. Didn't really enjoy it, to be honest.
Okay.
It was a bit of an odd one because you think, love sport, love everything to do with it. And then, you start coaching it and you start coaching at a grassroots level and it can be quite challenging. So
yeah, the perception and the reality don't quite match up, I guess.
Yeah, tough. It was tough. So yeah, I looked at lots of different careers and I literally saw an advert online and it said you could earn X amount of money through recruitment, probably sells you the dream a little bit, and managed to get a role in London in sales recruitment, or recruiting salespeople across the tech industry. So something completely alien to me, but taught me a great deal. How
did you find it? How did you find going from rural Leicestershire into like modern London, recruiting into a very advanced industry in the technology space? How was that kind of learning curve for you?
I mean, it is completely chalk and cheese. It's so different, but it taught me to stick up for myself. It taught me a lot of life lessons. I think, I'd lived away at university, but, living in a big city, effectively on your own, it's incredibly expensive as well, which I learned very, very quickly. So that was a big learning curve. But I think it gives you so much, when you delve into the world of recruitment, it gives you so much exposure into the world of business and actually how
very much so
different businesses work, how the world operates. It gives you such an insight, which it is fascinating, really.
I couldn't agree more in terms of the exposure to business. Yeah, I can think of various different roles within organisations that you can go into and you become a master of that art. When you're working in the world of recruitment, you have so much exposure to different disciplines. And to your point there, the understanding of how businesses work was a real eye-opener for me at a very young age, in my early years in recruitment and to this very day. You've had a great career in recruitment, and it's been spanned from internal to agency to organisations where you're almost RPO outsourcing recruitment as well. Talk us through the kind of differences and challenges, I guess, with all of them.
When you're working agency, it's so proactive versus reactive.
Okay.
So when you're internal, you're kind of reacting to a lot of things, to business needs effectively, and business budgets, and growth plans or cuts, or whatever it kind of might be.
I guess as well, when you're in an internal role, you get to follow the candidates who you're placing, follow their career.
Yeah, you do, and there's such a big thing now in retention. Like, retention's huge, and especially in a world where people are getting approached by recruiters, and that there is LinkedIn and there is job boards, that they can get a lot more exposure to other businesses, and they can see different opportunities. But I think one of the real kind of benefits of working internally is, you see them. You might bring somebody in at kind of the start of their career, or an entry level position, and then in a couple of years they're either managing a team, or they've gone up into a director position, and it's really great to see, and you have a good relationship, and usually they're fairly thankful for bringing you to the business.
How has working as an internal recruiter for a mammoth business and a great business that benefited you in your current role?
Agency recruiters, we get sometimes frustrated by, a slow process. Obviously, being internal, you understand sometimes why that's slowed down.
Yeah.
Why the hiring manager isn't in a position to hire that person yesterday, even though they need them. There might be a budget restraint, there might be a budget cut. And sometimes a lot of it comes down to, sometimes poor communication. But I think the real benefit for me, having been in that situation, is understanding all of that, and almost sympathizing. When we're working with an internal talent team or a HR team, it's just going, look, I get it. I understand what you're going through sometimes, and they're under a huge amount of pressure internally as well, because
that's forgotten a lot, isn't it? I think, because I've witnessed you in meetings being hugely empathetic and sympathetic to clients, and the authenticity behind that is through the roof. But I think agency recruiters or candidates can forget the amount of pressure an internal recruiter's under, right?
You can't walk away from anything. Not that we would walk away from any of our clients, but if you're with a real problematic client that's not not working with you cohesively, it can make it really difficult. Whereas if you're internally, you've got to face the music every day. You've got hiring managers, under huge amounts of pressure to get people in to fill the role and make money effectively and keep the revenue coming in for a business. That pressure on the hiring manager pretty much sits on your shoulders as well. You can't hide from that hiring manager. They'll come and stand next to your desk and
we're not seeing our clients day in, day out, are we? Over the water cooler or a coffee or the canteen or what have you. So the pressure is of paramount importance there. But I think it's the empathy that you use with our clients to understand that, because I get it. Internal recruiters can have frustrations with agency recruiters, but we've also spoke passionately as well about how they can work really well together. And I think you've spoken to the team as well in training sessions about, when you work in partnership, that can really work for a business, right?
It can, because a lot of the time, as I said, that internal recruiter or HR person is under pressure to fill that role, and they cover such a broad range of roles. They're not specialising in any one thing. They're covering technical roles, they're covering IT roles, they're covering finance, and I think when they are looking for support from an agency recruiter, they're looking for industry specialism. They're looking for somebody that knows the market and knows candidates inside out, and can advise and have that kind of relationship and that partnership both ways is of paramount importance to an internal recruiter and an agency recruiter.
Yeah, very much so. We glossed over it earlier, but I wanted to bring it back to the world of sport briefly, because am I right in saying you had two main sports, right? Just talk us through those.
Yeah, so ice hockey being my sort of main sport, if you can say that, and cricket was the other one. Cricket I wasn't quite as good at, but I still played an okay level of cricket. But
you went to Australia, right, to play?
I did, yeah. Sort of forged my way out there a little bit, and was not overly successful, let's say, but it was an amazing experience. Incredible. Not only to just travel the country. I went over to Melbourne, but played a good standard of cricket. It was interesting seeing those guys. We had 5 teams in Melbourne, and the first team, trained. We would all train sort of 2 or 3 times a week with all of the other teams as well. And what amazed me is the 5th team trained with the exact same intensity as the first team. And even the 5th teamers, they were at your heels, wanting your spot in the first team.
But also, again, glossed over it, you were the goalkeeper for the Peterborough Phantoms, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I started ice hockey when I was about 10 years old. Now, obviously a minority sport, everyone says, how do you get into it? Don't really know, to be honest. I literally went to an ice skating session with a couple of friends, watched a junior game of ice hockey after, and just said, I want to play that. And I did, and always wanted to play in goal. Don't ask me why. I just liked being slightly different, I guess. It's slightly the odd one out, and you have such an effect on the game. Lose or win, it's usually your fault. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to play at a fairly decent level, represented my country at under 16s and under 18s level, which was fantastic, and then played sort of semi-professionally from the age of about 16, 17.
That high performance culture within teams, which you're forming within your own team now, what can you draw from those experiences across cricket and ice hockey that you're implementing here at MorePeople?
Discipline's probably the biggest thing. In any sport, you listen to podcasts or listen to professional sports people, they all say discipline and consistency are the biggest things, and I've always been taught that and always tried to sort of live by that. I've never been the most sort of naturally talented player at either of the sports, and I've always had to work incredibly hard. And I've sort of learned the benefits of hard work, I think, through the farming days, actually.
Yeah, very much so.
But yeah, everything comes down to consistency and discipline. Is one of my coaches always said, there's no big things. Nothing's a big thing. Everything is all the small detail, just added up and compounded over time. Will always make you stand out. Will get you from good to great. It's just doing the boring things, let's say, and doing all of this stuff.
No silver bullet, right?
No, exactly. There really isn't. And I think that really relates to the world of recruitment, because some of the stuff that we're doing, sometimes you feel like you're not getting anywhere with it, or you're not going down the right path. But actually, it is just a consistency thing.
Yeah, I think whatever you practice at, you get good at. But we have a saying in the business about trusting in the process. And that comes back to that discipline piece, constantly networking, constantly reaching out to as many different candidates as we can. And to your point there, train like it's a game, train hard, and it will pay off. Sometimes it won't feel like it every day, but eventually it will. Ryan, thanks so much for being an absolute superstar, going through your career today and what you're implementing here. And it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.